this is Anu and welcome back to my channel. I am so happy to be back, and today I have a treat for you. I have Irina here that came to visit and hang out for a little. Irina is from Fiberchats. If you're a knitter, you for sure know her. She does amazing interviews. I am the biggest fan. So when we met and she entered my store, I had a fan minute, and usually I don't. And I was like, "Oh my god,
I had the same.
this is the first day." That was actually, she came before. How did we meet? Remind me.
So Rachel, she introduced. She's a fan of my channel from like day one, and I guess she's a fan of your channel. And she told me that you're opening a store in Massachusetts, and she was like, "Is Weston near you?" And I was like, "Absolutely." And so she was like, "Oh, you might like to visit this store." And so of course I had to reach out, and that's how we met.
Yes, yes. So the way I remember, I just began so I have Anu Crochet on Instagram, and I thought, since I'm opening a store, it's called the Unruly Stitch, by the way. I should open an Instagram account. So I opened my Instagram account and I began to post the renovation with my husband. Well, it was a family business, so my husband helped me putting all together. It was really fun, to film it. And I have 1 subscribers or followers, as you see on Instagram, and 2 and 3 and 4 and 50. And all of a sudden I look at the comments and the like, and I see Fiberchat. I'm like, huh? Is that? I was like, oh my God. And then she said, "I'm coming to your store." I said, "Oh my God, I would love you to come." Or I said, "Would you like to come to us?" I think I asked you, right? I said, "Irina, would you like to come and see my store?" I was like, I knew that the minute she would step foot in, she would like it. I was like, and then she said, "Sure." I thought she would say, "Well, I'm busy, open. Maybe I'll come one day, but definitely I know where you are. I'll swing by eventually." She said, "Yeah, I'm coming. When are you free?" And then she came. Actually, it was a local yarn store day, right?
Yeah, that was when I came. So I was so lucky because I got to see the local yarn store before it was even officially open. So I was the first visitor to the local yarn store.
Yeah.
And I told her that I have to come back the next day. The next day was the official opening of the store. And I said, I have to be one of the first buyers because I want to bring you luck with my purchase. So I was here like at the opening time, 10 o'clock in the morning.
You were. And you bought you were my first customer. And you bought a beautiful mug.
Yeah, right? The Charan Shahar's mug. And I was...
Here, I'll show it to you. I have one here.
Charan was the guest of my channel, and I couldn't wait to see them in person.
Hold on, let's see if it focuses, because it's gorgeous. Yeah, there we go. I'll insert one thing. Let's continue.
So I couldn't wait them in real life. So as soon as I walked into the store, I was like, "Is that Charan's mugs?" And of course, I was like so excited. I had to get one. And it's now standing like right in the middle of my kitchen, so I can.
So you interviewed.
Every time
you interviewed him, and I could not remember how I got to him, but I think that's from you.
Well, I interview all different kinds of artists. So there are knitters, there are crocheters, there are weavers, there are spinners, there are owners of yarn stores. So like any like embroiders, any kind of fiber artist, because we all have so much in common. Like we all have similar struggle and similar enthusiasm for yarn and for wool,
And that's what I love about. There's so many things I love about your channel and about your interviews. First of all, I love the way you interview people. I think that it's so interesting. You ask the right questions. All the questions that other people sometimes do not ask, you do. Even if sometimes it's a little, less pleasant, but us as viewers, there are some questions that we have that we want you to ask, and you do. And I find that fascinating. But you do it in such a nice way that, people, the minute they meet you, they just feel so comfortable And it's, it's like having them, you and them, in my living room, and I
Yeah,
love
that was the idea, because I didn't like, so my vision for the channel from the very beginning was to create sort of a library of fiber art talents. So like, you don't have to watch from the first episode till the last episode, even though if you're bored and you want to watch all of them and binge watch them, go for it. But but the idea is that you can come in and there are playlists, and you can look at the playlist and you want to see who is doing some incredible macrame, let's say, and you'll see a few names and you'll just check one or two of them, and you'll get to know some people that you wouldn't know otherwise. So I never go after necessarily like the hottest and the most famous designers, young artists, even though there are plenty of them on my channel as well. But what interests me is people with like unique story. And some of them might have 200 followers on Instagram. Like, I don't care about that. I invite people who I find inspiring, who I find interesting, who come from like different way of life or a different place in the world. So you can find somebody from literally like every corner of the world.
Yep. I just watched one, I think, last week from Olga from Ukraine. She is so lovely. It was so funny because she apparently, even though she's like a famous designer and she just published her book called Only Yoking, she never been interviewed before. So I was the first person to interview her, and I was so happy about that. I was like, oh, I hope you're gonna love it. She was she was shy and humble, and I love like her little giggle sometimes when you ask her something, and she's just, it's so refreshing. She was lovely. And now she was really like very nervous at the beginning. You could see it. And I was like, forget about that. There's like people there. Like, I'm not even recording. Let's just talk. So we like chatted for a bit. Yeah. And then it's like it just eased her in. But she's so lovely. She's like such a charming, humble designer and like really creative. And she does beautiful, beautiful work. I love her sweaters. Like, I'm totally making one of them for her. You have to teach me how to do the color work. I'm so intimidated by it. Well, but I want we talked about it. You have to teach me some better crochet skills, and I'll show you some of the knitting things. Deal, absolutely, we'll do it. Do you guys want to learn some of the crochet or knitting skills? We can share the tutorials with you as well. I want my subscribers to learn how to knit, because one of the things that bother me is the gap between knitters and crocheters, because there's so many things in common. I think that if you know how to knit, you'll have an easy time learning how to crochet. If you know how to crochet, you have such an advantage for knitting. And on top of that, can you imagine there are techniques that are good for you can do? You can combine, yeah. And there's not a lot of combining designers. Do you know? I mean, a lot of knitting designers would like add crochet edging, right? Because it's much easier. But for example, do granny in the front and knit it and it sleeves. Yeah. That's gorgeous. I should do a combined design. We should. Let's go. Let's do it. Would you like that? Let us know in the comment down below. I think it would be fantastic. So at the store we have now beginners knitting classes. If you're interested, we have them on Tuesday evening. Yeah, Tuesday and Wednesday. I think it's Tuesday and Wednesday evening. Yeah. So if you're interested to sign up, and if you're local, please do, right? And maybe just one day, Irina will teach us Shetland lace. Yeah, maybe. You need to see Irina's works. Irina, you brought a few, right? Well, I brought a couple. So this year, I'm actually doing a year-long Shetland lace knit-along on Ravelry in my Fiberchats group there. So there are 3 different patterns that we're doing, and I chose for different levels. So the first one is this pattern, and we can film it later closer. This is called Minagami, and I wish you guys could touch it and just look how light. So this is a pattern for beginners. For like absolute beginners. I tried already. It's absolute beginners in lace. Okay. Well, you'll have to help me. The thing is, like, if you can struggle through this pattern, right? And if you've never done Shetland lace before, I put tutorials on my channel of like line by line knitting it.
and how to read the chart. So I'll teach you like all the skills you need to knit this.
I want to be able to make
And
something like that.
So a lot of people who like never done Shetland lace are knitting this pattern.
So what yarn did you use?
This is silk and
Cashmere?
no, there is like some sort of grass. It wasn't like linen, but there's like some sort. It's not hemp.
No.
It's like it'll come to me. But,
Okay.
But a friend of mine dyed it, and I just love the color, and I was keeping it for some special project. And this is the second time I'm doing this pattern.
I remember you did it in another color,
like in light pink.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the one I saw you on Fiberchats.
Yeah.
The light pink.
Yeah. So this is the beginner pattern. If you guys want to do it, if you have done Shetland lace, or if you're looking for a challenge, then I chose this pattern. It calls The Marvels of the Sunless Sea by Hazel Carter. And what I love about this pattern, and this is Irina, what I love about this pattern, you see those fishes? Yeah. So there are all different fishes swimming there in the border. And the way the pattern is written, it gives you the history of every fish of them. So like where you can find on what depth it swims. So you learn so much.
Yeah.
And
Not
then,
only do you
and
you
then
get
the
this
center,
at the end, but you're smarter.
Right. And the center is like different plants that grow on Shetland Isles. So they tell you about like all the fauna and flora like of the Shetland Isles. So I find just to read this pattern, that's already like super fun and educational.
So for people that don't know what Shetland lace is, what is the difference between Shetland lace and regular lace?
Right. So Shetland lace, usually when you knit lace, you knit on one side with some yarn overs and knit two togethers, and on the back side it's your rest row. So you just purl back. Shetland lace doesn't have any rest rows. So every row is like a new page in the book. So you need to count constantly. You need to concentrate. Yeah, it takes, which is the beauty of it, because you'll forget all your trouble. You'll forget any kind of problem. Right? You'll just concentrate on the beauty of this lace. Yeah.
So you cannot like watch TV and do that.
I mean, some people who like already have been doing it for 50 years, I am not. Like I need to concentrate.
Right.
But so this and also in Shetland lace, basically like every row is a knitting row. So there are hardly any purl stitches in it. So if you hate purling, this is a perfect project for you.
So you have basically like slip stitches.
There's no slip stitches. There is yarn overs. Yeah, it's very simple. It's like,
or two together,
three together. Knit two together, knit three together, SSK, and yarn over and knit, and that's it. Like so, there's like very few stitches, and you achieve.
So that's why I think you say that it's for beginner, because it's not like it has a complicated stitch.
Right.
It's all your basic stitch. You just need to know how to read a chart, maybe. Right.
But this one, like why I said that the Minagami, the one that you're wearing, is for beginners, because there is one diamond and that repeats itself. So there is.
But here not. Here
this is more complicated.
Different.
Right. This is more complicated. So like if you need this, you're ready for anything Shetland lace is throwing your way. And then there is a third pattern. So the third pattern is actually a garment, and it's called Sorceress Top by Paula Kibiltis. So this is actually the front, right? So like this is gonna be like that, and these are the sleeves. And I did the sleeves in combination of mohair.
Oh yeah, I know.
Aren't they magical? And then the front and the back are absolutely identical. And actually the sleeve is also like part of the front pattern. So it's like the pattern itself is easy. It just takes a little while because there's a lot of knitting. And then there's
you haven't blocked this yet.
I haven't blocked it. Yes.
So you cannot imagine how beautiful it will be when you block it. I see that looks a little bit like crochet. Right here. Wow.
So this is like still on my needles, and I need to finish that one.
You need to finish it so I can
But
wear it.
if you guys want to join that knit along, it's like go at your own pace kind of thing. There is no pressure on when you have to stop it and when you have to be done. And it's happening on Fiberchats group on Ravelry. It's the whole year, and there's a whole bunch of tutorials for each one of those things. And I also posted interviews with the designers. There's an interview with Paula Kibiltis. There's an interview with Monique Boonstra, who did the Minagami. And they talk about like all the tips and tricks for Shetland Lace. So there is like whole playlist on Shetland Lace, Mr. Knit Along.
I mean, there's playlist on everything you like. You know, if you like, like she said, macrame, there's an artist for that. If you like knitters, if you like Stephen West, he's there. It's just like, it's amazing. Your library of guests is just so much fun. And like you said, they're from all over the world. Didn't you say you had somebody that was traveling like, she was in India.
Yeah, Sita Lagros. So she's actually South African artist, fiber artist. And I don't want to call her knitter because she knits, she crochets, she spins, everything. She does embroidery, she does weaving of some fabric. So she's like super talented. She knows how to spin yarn. She's using spinning for her meditation. And she's so lovely and so knowledgeable. And she actually has her own YouTube channel.
If you don't remember, I'll put it. You'll tell me and then I'll post it.
Shawl knitter. I want to say unplugged, but like I can't. Right.
You know what fascinated me with her is that she has a small backpack with like barely anything.
Yeah.
You know, because she has to carry everything with her all the time. So her house is basically all she has is in that backpack, but she always has yarn.
Yeah.
And she also finds yarn, and people give her yarn, you know, when she meets people. Anyway, you should go and see it. It's fascinating. Listen, I think this one is my favorite.
So this is called the third one. So it's also by Monique Boonstra, the same one that you're wearing. And she has a collection of shawls that she's thinking of like continuing. So she has the second one, the third one. The second one was a square shawl. This is a rectangular shawl, and then the fourth one is a triangular shawl. So they were like different shapes. And this one is my absolute favorite of all times. And it also has this tree, which is like, when you get to the tree, you know, you sort of learn Shetland things.
Oh, wow. I wish you could. This is the lightest thing I ever,
how many? 72 grams.
72 grams. Look at that. And the color also is, I've never seen a color like that. It's, at the beginning, you think it's white. Then you look at it and it's that tiny splash of lavender, lilac.
Yeah.
It is gorgeous. I mean, that's the way I imagine a cloud on an evening of a sunset, you know, in the Caribbean, something like that.
Yeah,
gorgeous.
I love this show. This
gorgeous.
Is like one of my favorites.
You're such an amazing, very talented knitter. Really, you are. So, you know, I see all those interviews. You're doing, as I said, an amazing job interviewing, but you've never been interviewed yourself. And I'm sure I am curious about you.
Oh, ask away.
I'm going to ask. So where you were born? You weren't born in the United States.
No, I was born in Uzbekistan. So that was like part of Soviet Union back then. And my parents were hydraulic engineers. So we actually traveled like all my childhood. So I was born in Uzbekistan, but I didn't live there long. And then we moved to Siberia, and I grew up in Siberia in like the tiniest little village. There was like 10,000 people.
That's crazy.
And like the next village was like 2 hours drive.
Of course. So wait a minute. Until what age were you living in
Siberia?
Yeah.
I lived there until I finished high school. So most of my school years. And then
so your like constructive years were in Siberia.
Right. And then we moved to Moscow for a while. I went to engineering school in Moscow. And then as soon as I was about to graduate, Soviet Union fell apart. And there was no engineering works. And it was just like the whole job market was like non-existent. So there was a program that was sending female engineers to get an MBA. And that's how I ended up here. And then I met my husband, and then I stayed here. So it's like,
story.
yeah.
Wow.
So
Wow. So how is it? Tell us. How is it? Did in Siberia that you learned how to knit?
I haven't started knitting until 5 years ago.
I cannot. Really.
But my grandmother was extremely crafty. She was a seamstress. She could knit. She could crochet, like more simple things, not like Shetland lace, but
Right.
she did. And she taught me, like one summer, she taught me the knit stitch and purl stitch and cast on. I don't think I even knew how to cast off. So I knitted probably for like a week and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And then I came back home from the summer vacation, back to Siberia. There's like some yarn and needles. And my mom just rolled her eyes and said, let's just go play. Like, what are you doing? And that was the end of my knitting. And then 5 years ago, a friend of mine was having her fourth, and as she assured, the last baby. And she said, I never had baby shower. And I said, well, let me throw you a baby shower. And I was thinking, like, what can I make for the baby that is going to be something like more special? So I went on YouTube, and I was like, well, maybe I should try to knit. And I found some booties, and I made these booties, and then I never stopped, like, since that day.
I love your story. That's so cool.
And I feel like my grandma would be like very proud, you know.
You know, I think like really, if you put the seed, it doesn't matter if it so many people are coming to the store, and I ask them, do you knit, do you crochet, you know, and then we begin to chat, and I ask their story. There is a lot of common denominator in the fact that they say, well, I, you know, began to knit when I was really little. My grandma taught me, my mom, but you know, whatever. I haven't knitted in like 30 years, and now I think I'm going to take it back. And then they say, but I'm a total beginner. But they're not. It's like riding on a bicycle.
No, it's definitely this like memory, like of some sort, like genetic almost memory of some sort. Because like I started within like months, I was knitting brioche. You know, within 6 months, I was knitting Shetland lace.
You're extremely smart. I mean, I've been knitting for a long time, and I'm not doing brioche. That's another thing that you have to teach me, by the way.
Oh, you're totally doing brioche. You know what? 2023 resolution, you're doing brioche.
I do. I want to do brioche.